Hey team, I wanted to walk through the user story map that I've been referring to for product analytics for our experiment and then beta releases. Um, so this kind of outlines some of the direction for what we're launching in the experiment phase, what I hope that we can ship during that phase before beta, and then what's coming with the beta and kind of why we're doing those things in the order that we're doing them. I'll update the direction page in the Epic after this is posted, and just a reminder that the direction page for product analytics is really our single source of truth. So I'm going to get that up to date with this as quickly as I can. This user story map is just a mental model or a way for me to visualize that content and that direction and relate it to the user stories to kind of outline the flow that a user is going to take through the feature. So let me know if you have questions about this, if things are still not clear. You can comment in the Epic, in the group Slack channel, or send me a PM, and happy to answer those. So I'm going to share my screen and ramble for a bit talking through this. So the user story map is just a way to outline kind of a flow of a user through a task or through something. The classic example is you're doing training of this, of learning about this methodology is what do you do to get ready in the morning? And so there's always a group exercise of what everybody does, and then kind of building out, mining things, grouping them into various parts of people's mornings, and then laying out kind of a backbone of what everyone does to get out the door. The idea there is that you can have an ideal morning, all the things that you could do if you had 2 hours to get ready between when you wake up and when you leave for work or when you arrive at work. And you can start to slice things off and understand what's really, really required to get down to I need to leave and be out the door in 5 minutes. So it kind of gives you that bare bones approach to things. So we've taken a somewhat similar approach. So at the very top level, let's look at the key here real quick, the activities, kind of the backbone tasks of those, and then user tasks within them, and where we're at in the release slices of sorts. I have experiment here, we have internal preview, and then kind of a pseudo release of what we want to launch during the experiment. And that's the primary part I'm going to talk through today. So the big activities that a user is going to need to go through to start their journey in product analytics is enabling product analytics, instrumenting their app, and then viewing a built-in dashboard. And those are the key things that we had for the internal preview and what we have for the experiment launch. So a user should be able to enable the feature for their project. In this case, this is going to be a hands-on approach for us to go through and do that, and then setting up the app ID, that should happen as part of the onboarding flow. Today, we're doing that manually through a GraphQL call. We'll iterate on that and get it to the onboarding flow. And then instrumenting the app, importing the SDK, adding the JavaScript snippet to the page, adding a JavaScript snippet to any sort of event that they want to track as part of their application. And then viewing dashboards, the built-in dashboards, or what we're launching with, the audience dash and the behavior dash that we have. So as you continue the flow through there, and what we want to launch as we get into the experiment is the ability for a user to explore data. And I've broken that down into a couple of different user stories. One is to query data, or really use the visualization designer as it's designed today to dig into data. The intent there is I have a question I want to answer, and I want to use data to try to answer it. That's really a one-time question is the user story there, not I want to save it to a dashboard. The next step in that is creating a saved visualization, which is something that I know the team is working on now as part of Explore Data. That way you could go back and refer to it. The intent there is not that I can then view it on their dashboard, it's that I can go into the visualization designer and look at it again. And we may need additional user stories to support that. I'll sort that out as I go back into the Epic. From there, managing your visualization. So once you create something, you want to manage it, editing existing ones. And again, we're going to probably need some additional user stories. This might move even into the beta or beyond of the first path that this might be. If you don't like what you created, we're going to have you just throw it away and start over. It's a pretty small lift for a user to do that and tweak things as they go. Pretty small amounts of data at this point. Next step for them would be to create a custom dashboard. Really, some small steps here. I didn't dig too far into the workflow itself, but naming the dashboard and then being able to edit it, which is really just renaming a dashboard. More steps in that are going to be below of rearranging tiles on the dashboard, potentially even moving a dashboard into a different project, copying a dashboard, things like that. Then adding a saved visualization to a dashboard. Today, that workflow is a very manual one, and we may launch with that as part of the experiment. And that's going to help us understand, are our users using and valuing, and are we getting more weekly active users once they can create their own data visualization and put them onto a dashboard? So we're really going to key into, once we've introduced this and we've walked users through the workflow, are they creating the saved visualizations, putting them onto a dashboard, and then are more people looking at that dashboard, that they have their own custom view? That'll be a good signal for us that we want to then expand on that workflow, make it a UI bit, which again is already in progress. So we're kind of making a jump there, or making a hypothesis there that yes, that is going to increase our active weekly users. And then editing the visualization, and then kind of rounding out the experience is copying the dashboard, deleting the dashboard, managing, which I'm calling archiving and hiding or exporting the data. And the first path of that could just be, I'm going to save that file somewhere else. That's my exported dashboard, so I can import it somewhere else and use it. We have some additional stuff down here in the later slices as we get into our general availability and even future considerations or past GA. Things like adding visualization from another non-product analytics data source, and editing visualization attributes from the dashboard itself. So if I wanted to change the query, what would that look like? So a couple of things that are happening there. You'll note what's not on here is additional types of visualizations like funnels. We'll use the same sort of method to kind of walk through that workflow of what are the steps that a user needs to take to create a funnel and build that out. And that helps us just talk through, what are the assumptions that we're making? What are the risks that we have with this before we start building? So Kevin and I will be using this method going forward for some of those bigger chunks of functionality, just to make sure that we have it all written down and shared understanding about what a user needs to do. So if you have any questions, feel free to, like I said, ping me in the Slack channel, add a comment to the Epic as we go update them for each of the release slices. And hopefully this adds some clarity about the direction of what we're doing in the first experiment phase, and then what we hope to launch during, and why we're doing that, what we hope to learn. Thanks.